Now, contract. What I want to talk about here is being proactive rather than reactive. And what I mean by that is obviously using the right documents. Many years ago, I worked at a law firm, and we did wide variety of closings, commercial, business, residential, you name it, land, etc. And we had a client who came in one day. He was so excited. He'd finally gotten his business under contract, and he was just, delighted with himself that he had written the contract and he brought it in to have us close it. Somebody gave him a FAR bar contract to sell a business. There was no dirt involved in this transaction. There was just the business. Now you can understand the mess that this created because it was impossible to figure out what he meant by the FAR bar contract and how that related to the business. Well, sadly, it ended up costing him a little bit more, not only to have the attorney then decipher what he meant, put it into a contract that made sense for the transaction, but then when he brought it to the buyer to have the buyer sign off on, the buyer renegotiated the deal and ended up costing him an extra $5,000 in order to get it sold. So my moral of that one is, obviously to use the right documents for the right transaction. And that's, again, a proactive thing that saves you a lot of time. You don't have to go back and backpedal. Double checking them for accuracy is another one that is, again, something that can save you a lot of time. Not relying on your office here or whoever you're working with to do that. But the dates, for instance. This is one thing where we see this way too often in our business. You're meeting with a seller and a buyer. You're getting that property under contract. And the buyer says, my lender told me I can close in 45 days. Well, today's the 15th. You add 45 days to that. You're at something the 1st of whatever the month is. Well, unfortunately, you didn't grab your calendar and look, and the 1st is on a Sunday. So what day do we close? Okay. You have to then have a conversation with somebody and establish we're closing Monday. Well, some people might interpret or might want to close then on Friday so they could move. They thought the 1st was. So you end up creating a lot more work for yourself. And again, by not being proactive with that, and it ends up taking you a lot more time. And understanding also who pays for what and making sure that everyone understands that fully. FAR bar contract calls or has that checkbox. I've seen way too many times where people forget to check that box. And then there has to be a conversation later on. And again, some people end up paying more than what they expected.